Hey everyone, welcome back. And as usual, as I always say, I'm always super grateful to see you guys connecting. So as I dive into today's message with you and just do a couple of shares, please do drop me a comment. Let me know where in the world you're tuning in from and what's going on in your world. And I'd love, as usual, for you to play along at home. Particularly with today's message, I might get into a little bit of a rant, which you guys are obviously familiar with me doing at different times, but I hope that it really hits home. I'm going to go a little bit intense, and my hope is that you can actually apply this to your own life. So I'm going to share some different examples that have been popping up in my life. Over the last year or so, this has been something that's become more in my conscious awareness, where previously I'd kind of not noticed this. And it's all around privacy, right? And respecting people's boundaries. This is a key one. And I see a lot of people get confused when they have their boundaries broken. Because the way that it's done, that I'm going to be talking to you guys about today, it's kind of very indirect and it's kind of questionable, like whether their boundaries, have been crossed or not, right? And so I want to give you guys some clarity on this. I'd love to hear your own perspectives on this as well. Might be different to mine, and I'd love to hear from you. We're not the same person, but we can definitely, the idea of these conversations with you guys really so that we can expand each other's minds. It's not about me telling you this is the way, right? I'm sharing my own perspective from my own experience. And the idea is that I'd love to hear from you guys as well with your own experiences, because this is the big key part of personal development, I feel, is being open-minded, not being black and white, having an open frame, coming and sharing and being clear on what your perspective is on a multitude of different arenas in life, and then being able to communicate that and also, receive feedback on that might expand your own perspective, because everybody's got their own experiences that they're contributing, right? So that's why I love hearing from you guys and making this more of a co-creative space. So let me dive in, right? So today I'm going to deliver the message that the most abusive people in this world, I should have probably said some of the most abusive people in this world, are those who disrespect boundaries and disguise their actions as moral. All right. Now, have you ever told somebody something in confidence only to realize later, or it be brought to your attention later, that they've actually communicated something that you told them in confidence and in privacy? They've told other people about that, right? And then kind of had an excuse about that maybe, right? Or a reason behind why that was okay. Or maybe you've had a relationship challenge with your partner or with a friend or somebody close to you or a family member, and then that person has gone and vented to their family or friends or your group that you're engaged with, and they've shared their one-sided victim story with a bunch of different people who are close to them without your knowledge, right? I want to talk to those of you who have this, right? Or you might have had this experience as well, where maybe you set a boundary with somebody. Maybe there was an unhealthy dynamic going on between you, and you got clear and you had the courage to communicate a healthy boundary, and then this person keeps breaking that boundary on you and you're not quite sure how to go about it, right? I am going to share with you guys a bunch of different examples. And I'd love to hear from you guys if you resonate with these examples, if you've had these different experiences, or if you've got different experiences where, you have had somebody disrespect your boundaries in a way that's kind of under a bit of a disguise, which I'm going to talk to you guys with these examples today. Now, I want to share the first one. Now, there was a couple who I know, right, who were, when I met them at the time, they were a married couple and looked like they had a lot going on that was great for them. And then all of a sudden, later down the track, they actually had like a really big fight, right? And one of the people, I was kind of connected with one of the people in this couple more. They were only kind of newish friends, right? But I was kind of connected to one of them more. I'd met them and I'd spent more time with them, and I just met the partner kind of once, right? And really both beautiful, amazing people. And when this challenge happened, I got a phone call from the partner who I didn't even know, really, like I'd met once. And they proceeded to tell me the ins and outs of this horrific argument that they'd had, right? This one-off argument that they'd had, and really bad-mouthed this person, but put it under this disguise like it was like they were trying to protect them. Right? They were like, telling me all this terrible stuff that can really damage a person's reputation, right? Something that, in our intimate relationships, I'm sure you guys have had the experience where the worst parts of you can come to the forefront, right? In your intimate relationships, because it brings up the most fear, right? There's much more intimacy and depth and fear of rejection because this person is getting to know all these different aspects of you that you don't share with the rest of the world, right? So it's almost like it's the place where a lot of us can find our worst characteristics or traits of us, or emotional outbursts can come out, right? And so we even more so, I feel, need to make that a sacred place, right? And basically what I saw was what the experience was, this other person called me, and to be honest with you, intuitively it felt like they were really in a lot of their own fear, but they were bringing this other person down for the purposes of ruining this person's reputation. I feel like what my sense was at the time was it was almost like this person is feeling very insecure about what their partner is going to do. And for some reason, I've been enmeshed in this fear-driven kind of reaction to a circumstance. And I really didn't quite at first experience know how to take it, right? Because I thought, for one thing, that's very private information, right? I've met this person one time only, right? And I'd met their partner, and I'd had more interaction, like I said, with their partner. Now, that information that was shared with me in very deep, it wasn't just about the fight, it was about this person and their challenges, right? Their emotional challenges, all these different pieces. It was a very private conversation that should have only been really had, from my perspective, in my opinion, with a mutual third party, who's not connected to the two people in this couple, on a personal level at all, right? And, hire a coach, hire a therapist, hire a psychologist, hire a counselor, somebody who is, well-versed in this stuff. Like, I do this work, but this is more of a personal way. They weren't seeking any guidance or support. They're really trying to vent, and from what I could see, paint a picture of them being much better than the other person, and creating this very crossing the boundaries of respect for their partner, right, who they'd just broken up with, and guising it like they were being a very moral person, right, and trying to look out for them, right, and it just really wasn't a healthy thing for them to do, right? And albeit that, I'm not somebody who's going to allow somebody's fearful projection to diminish my respect for another person, because I'm well versed in knowing how much what we share from one person's perspective is our own victim story, right? And I'm a big believer in seeing how two people co-create something, right? And so we're not just 100% They're not just 100% responsible and we take none of the blame, right? So for one, that was going on. That was one example. And since I'd learnt that this person actually did this not just to me, but really to all of their friends, right? And that kind of broke my heart a little bit, because I could put myself in the other partner's position and I could see, wow, like how horrible that would be, right? As you're transitioning out of what you thought to be the love of your life relationship, they've been together many years, they were married, all of these sorts of things, it would be a terrible situation to be put in where your then partner has now blurted out everything private about you, all the worst parts that you would hate for everybody, for the world to see, right? Like in your fears and how they've come out and all these sorts of things, right? That would be, that's such a huge break of trust, right? For any human being. You don't need to be in relationship with somebody to respect their privacy, their boundaries, and their humanness, right? So that's one example, and that might be, you might sit on either side of the fence with that one, right? I take it so far in relationship that if I am in a relationship with somebody and I have a challenge with my partner, or a fight or an argument, or, something challenging happens, the last people I'm going to go to are my family and not even my friends, right? The first place that I go to would be a mutual third party, a coach, a therapist. I usually have a coach, right? Somebody who's not invested in our relationship dynamic and can look at the whole, right? Not just validate my one-side victim story, which is what we do when we go to friends and family, but actually, I want to see it from their perspective. I need some guidance. I need to see what's being co-created here. I need to know what actions could I make? What perspectives could I shift? How could I make this situation better rather than worse based on my input to it, right? Having emotional intelligence and valuing the relationship dynamic and keeping that sacred. Versus if someone goes and tells and blurts out and vents to their family and friends, right? That's all well and good. You might need some support, right? But I actually advise strongly against it. And here is why. If you go and tell your closest family and friends all the bad things that you're venting about your partner, and you share that one-sided victim story, right? Then what you're doing is of course your friends and family are going to want to protect you and want to see you in this beautiful, with these rose-colored glasses and this beautiful light, and oh, poor you, right? But what you're doing is you're creating this huge obstacle for your partner and you moving forward. Because if you are choosing to want to continue in this relationship with this person, now you've just painted this terrible picture, right? This horrible picture of your partner in the minds and the hearts of the people closest to you. Right? And all that's going to do is, create this tension, create this kind of roadblock, this obstacle. And for what? Why? So you could just get validated on your victim story, right? Because you've just got to see it as it is. The people closest to you, if you're just sharing one side of the story, particularly, right, when you haven't got the tick of approval from your partner might be okay with you sharing that stuff. But I'm saying go and check in with your partner about what is okay and what is not, right? Because everything in your relationship is built on trust and respect. And if you break somebody's trust and disrespect their boundaries, you're ruining your relationship, right? It's going to take a lot of work to rebuild that. There's going to be these question marks that didn't need to be there. And so my perspective is do whatever you can at all times to nurture the sacredness of the trust and the respect in your relationship and the sacredness of that connection between you and your partner. Now, I'm talking on the intimate relationship level. I really do feel like this applies in all relationships that you wish to have really high quality connection with. But I'm talking about intimate relationship because it's kind of the most connected to our fears, right? So the biggest element of growth, I feel, is in our intimate relationship because of that. So that's one example. I also just want to share another example that has happened to me a lot. So this other one has been when, I've got several actually. So they've been when I have made it clear to a friend or an acquaintance that it's not going to be healthy for us to remain connected with one another, all right? And I've done this several times. I've done this when I've had friendships that just weren't healthy, right? They were becoming very codependent. They were becoming toxic in a way, and I knew I needed to put a boundary up. I've had that. And I've also had the experience where I've connected with different people through the work that I do and the business that I'm in, and them getting the wrong message about the type of relationship that we had, right? And so I have had to take responsibility for how those lines could have potentially been blurred, and I've got to openly communicate and set healthy boundaries for moving forward, right? And I've also even had friends of ex-partners reach out and connect with me in this really weird way, where, you know, it's going against and breaking my boundaries, but I'm not as invested, right? Because I'm not looking for a friendship with these people, but it's totally breaking the boundaries of an ex-partner, right? And I just won't engage with that. But there's all these different ways, right? And for all of those particular ones, what I've seen is they can easily disguise their breaking of your boundaries with this kind of moral code, like I'm being a good person, right? Like, oh, I've been thinking about you and I want to help you with this, or I want to share this with you, or I need to reach out and I'm breaking somebody else's boundaries by talking really badly about them. Oh, but you know, because I'm looking out for them, right? And I'm looking out for you, right? Which is just, you know, a terrible way. This is why I say it's very abusive, because anytime anybody breaks somebody's healthy boundary, that's abusive, right? That is not healthy. It's toxic. And so it can go seen, that you can kind of miss it if you're not really conscious of what's healthy and what's not healthy, right? It's really good to have this clear within yourself. I know my standards are might seem extreme to other people, but you know, throughout my experience in life, watching different family relationships, watching different friendships, definitely in the work that I do, working with different couples, learning from amazing people across the globe, in the realm of what's healthy in relationship, I just come down to, hey, know what your boundaries are. Don't disrespect anybody's boundaries, no matter what your connection with them, and aim for the sacredness of trust and respect in all relationship dynamics. And do not break people's boundaries with this guise of being this great, good person, all right? And don't let other people break your boundaries with that same attempt of disguise. So that's all I want to share with you guys. I hope it's of value. I definitely want to check in with your comments right now, see who's been able to join me. So let me know where in the world you're tuning in from, and if you've got any experiences that you wish to share, or you know, what's your thoughts on this topic? You know, do you feel like this happens to you, and what could you look at? Because that's one of the things I've had to look at. Why do people consistently and continuously break my boundaries, right? And I haven't had my boundaries broken for like maybe about a month now. Oh my gosh, that sounds crazy, right? I've got to look at what is that about me. And what it comes down to is that I have tended to be a little bit too lenient, right? I haven't when somebody sets a standard, say you think back to being a kid and your mum or your dad told you you can't do this, right? And then you push the boundary a little bit and then you notice you could get away with it, right? And then so you just did it. This is kind of what happens in our adult relationships as well when we're not solid and clear. And I have a tendency to not want to hurt people's feelings and create disharmony. So I've done it very more softly and more indirect, and it doesn't work. The way that I found that works for people to respect your boundaries is to be very clear and very direct, and do not break or open the door again, right? Don't break your own boundaries by opening the door. So whatever works for you. But I'd love to hear your strategies of ensuring that you set healthy boundaries and that the people who you invite into your inner circle respect those boundaries as well. I think that would be very valuable for people to hear. But DB's in the house and Katrina, yay, haven't seen you in ages. And Brian's here. And DB, I am doing really well and I hope you are as well. And Bill's here, awesome. And Wendy, yay. And Misty and Marvin and Bill's in the house, much love to you. And Rudy's here, and Elle and Jay Castillo from San Diego, always good to see you, and Jose and Marvin, #facts. Loving that this is resonating with you. And Kenny's here, and AJ, hello to you, my friend. And Jose, hi Vanessa, thank you for sharing this message. You are so welcome. Grateful as usual to see you join, and love to know that these messages are of value to you. And Marvin, everyone's a victim. So many victims, right? And I was actually just having an awesome coaching session with one of my clients yesterday, and we were going into this because she was expressing some different dynamics in family where there was a lot of the drama triangle going on, right? Like her being the rescuer, family member being the victim, and then shifting into the persecutor. And it's very interesting stuff when we can know that at some stage we all play the victim, but it's about building consciousness around that. And then what we do is we transition in out of the drama triangle and into the empowerment dynamic. I've done an entire masterclass on this, which is so valuable for navigating any relationship challenge. Like, it will give you the answers as to what is going on. So particularly with repeated past patterns that keep resurfacing in your relationships and you want to break free of them, I would definitely invite you to join us in the Limitless Potential Academy monthly masterclasses, and you can get access to that masterclass, plus there's a bunch more which will all help you to fast track your own personal development. So drop me a comment if you want that, or shoot me a quick message, and I will definitely help you out with that. Best place, guys, to contact me, by the way, is on email. So if you ever want to contact me, just email Vanessa at vanessajanepatrick.com. Messenger, sometimes it can get lost in there. So just in case you've maybe sent me a message and gone missing or something, just go for email. I will always get it. Awesome. And DB, not only that it makes them feel better, yes, when they're talking bad about the other person, sad that it comes down to that and can't take their ownership, see what they can do better, they just go the wrong way. So true, DB. And it's painful, right? That's why I'm saying, like, the number one thing would be just take 100% responsibility all the time for where you're at. And notice that, I get it. Like, sometimes we just want to vent, and sometimes it's very therapeutic, to just vent and just kind of express the emotion. And that's okay. Just make sure that who you do that with, it's actually going to support you and your growth. I personally, if I'm not I generally, at this stage in my development, I actually just do this for myself, right? I generally journal, like I just write it all out, like everything that I'm venting about and thinking about. I also have a process for this called the release letter technique. If you guys want access to that, I've done a Facebook Live for it, and I've also got a template that I can share with you guys. But it's so powerful because we as human beings, it's been scientifically proven that we move through all of the emotions in a specific hierarchy, right? It's kind of like a step-by-step system to move through and express everything that's going on for you for the purposes of getting to the end in a centered, loving place. a peaceful place where you can actually then find a solution to the challenge at hand. So again, reach out to me if you want access to that, no problems. Love it. So appreciate you sharing that, DB. And Jay Castillo, they start judging. Absolutely. So also, you want to notice and pick yourself up when you start judging others, right? And notice, what is the purpose behind this? Because we can feel good momentarily, right, about ourselves by the quickest, easiest way, not healthy, definitely toxic, is to bring other people down, right, in the moment so we can feel better than them, right? That will be a fleeting high. And then after that's done, you're going to need to bring somebody else down again, right? In order to access that feeling. How about let's be the type of people who feel good within ourselves because we grow ourselves. We take 100% responsibility. We take ownership for all the challenges that we have in our own lives, in the relationship dynamics that we have, all of it. And then we feel truly proud of the people that we are. And we see that we can be the kind of person who could melt another person's fear. Instead of be reactive to it, instead of, take it on board and then go and blurt it to everybody else for you to make yourself feel okay and to bring them down, how about building to the type of person that could see through another person's fears and give them love, give them what they actually need, see what fear is driving their behavior and be able to melt through that, right? There's so much beauty that's available to us. But, a good place to start is to see where we are very judgmental of others and just know, am I doing the victim thing? When I could be the creator of my own life, right? That's the transition from the victim to become the creator of your own life. A victim takes 0% responsibility for what happens to them. Creator takes 100% responsibility and they move forward with it, right? So love that. Absolutely. And DB, not only that, it will make you get upset when you're talking bad about the other person. Yes, and unfortunately, some people get a bit of a high from that, right? And then they get the validation from the people that they're communicating with. Oh, poor you. They get the connection in a very unresourceful, unhealthy way, right? So we want to just be conscious of and compassionate with ourselves when we unconsciously fall into those patterns, particularly if they've been deeply ingrained, particularly if you've grown up with guardians or parents or role models who've engaged in that kind of drama and gossip, and you've fallen into that pattern of connection. You just want to have some compassion for yourself when you notice these patterns, right? And then be aware of them and then choose a new way, because that one's not taking you anywhere fast that's worth going to, right? So love that. Thanks, DB. And Stan's here, and Mike and Brian. Awesome to see each and every one of you. And DB. Nowadays, kids and parents don't teach that and have less respect for that other person. We need more of this to happen and not badmouth the other person. Absolutely, DB. And the problem is that we tend to treat others how we treat ourselves. So if we're constantly judging, criticizing, bringing ourselves down, talking bad about ourselves to ourselves, right? Being our own worst inner critic, we need an outlet at times unconsciously. If we're doing that, we treat other people in that same way. We get critical of them, we bring them down, we're judgmental, all of those sorts of things. So the key here is to focus within. What is your relationship with yourself? And the pathway to being the kind of person who could, actually just see another person for where they're at and see that they're in fear and cut through all that fear and actually just give love where it's needed and understanding. You can only become that kind of person for others when you are able to do that for yourself. This is the whole reason why 7 years ago when I started out as a coach, I started with relationships. I was coaching couples with my partner at the time, right? And then over a big period of time working with a bunch of different couples, we realized, there's no point in giving these tips, training, strategies, tools in the realm of intimate relationship if the individuals do not have a good quality of relationship going on within themselves, or at least on the journey of growth within that. Right? And so that's why my main focus is on the individual first and foremost, building up to that extraordinary relationship dynamic that they can have with others, right? So love your contributions today, DB. Thank you so much. And beautiful Katrina, on the verge of a possible new relationship. Oh, this is exciting. And so I found this very helpful as a reminder. I think it's easy to become complacent with boundaries if you're not tuned in. Katrina, I am so excited for you. Oh, can't wait to catch up with you and hear more about that. But yes, me too. You know, I'm just in a new relationship myself, right? And this has been the major focus for me. The sacredness of trust and respect, right? And this is powerful because I know what it is to have unspoken things that unintentionally break each other's trust along the journey. And then it kind of, you know, it's like these sinkholes in our relationship that we keep trying to fill up, but they never quite get to solidness again, right? And so I think this is foundational, right? To just sacredness, trust, and respect. Ask and be clear on what's good for you. What are your healthy boundaries? What's right for you? What's not right for you, right? Based on your experience. And then ask them and communicate what that is for you, and ask them, you know, what is it for you? And co-create this space. Get out of the zone of me and them and get into the zone of the third entity of the relationship that you guys are co-creating. What do you want it to be like? What is the vision? How do you want to experience it? How do you want to experience one another? How do you want to manage conflict, right? All those beautiful things, right? You've just got to nurture that third entity. And you guys are co-creating that space. So that is awesome, Katrina. Thanks so much for sharing. And Hanny is here as well. And Bill, self-trust is the secret to success. Trust your boundaries. I'm getting to learn this one deeper and deeper as I go, Bill. So well put. Because at the end of the day, what I found is that when we do not trust others, when we have trust issues, when we have some really struggles with trusting other people and whether they're going to betray us or whether they love us or all that sort of thing, what it really comes down to is that you're not trusting within yourself as to your ability to handle if those sort of things come true, right? Because we can't control anybody outside of ourselves. All we can do is to develop that trust within ourselves so that no matter what happens, no matter what people do in our external world that we can't control, we trust at the end of the day in our ability to handle it, right? And this is why this is the part where I would always recommend the classic book by Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, right? Basically, the thesis of that book is to have that strong certainty and trust within yourself that you can handle anything that comes your way, any of the inevitable challenges, you'll figure it out, right? So I love that, Bill. So well put. And DB, I am, thank you. Grateful to hear that. And Henry is here as well. Good to see you. And Jake Castillo, thank you. You're welcome. I love it. And Bill, this message absolutely resonates and perfect timing. I'm so grateful to hear that, Bill. Always love having you here and hope you're doing amazingly well. And Ram's here. Good to see you, my friend. And God bless you, Jake Castillo. Thank you so much. And right back at you. And Marvin, roger that. I'll look into it. Boom. I love it. I'll look forward to hearing any of your perspectives that you want to share with that, Marvin. Awesome. And Chet's here as well. And much love to you, Katrina. And shine on, Bill. I love it. So that's my message for you guys. I hope it just gets you thinking, how am I operating in relationship dynamics from intimate, friendships, family relationships, whatever it is? What are my healthy boundaries? What's right? What's wrong for me? And looking at holding a real sacredness around trust and respect. And that takes communication because you're a different person to the other person that you're in relationship with, right? You have different boundaries, you have different standards, you have different rights and wrongs because you have different experiences and you're different people. So it takes some communication with this as well. So clarity, communication, and curiosity, right? Get clear on your boundaries, communicate those boundaries, and be curious to find out what their boundaries are as well, right? And then, go about, implementing that in the dynamic. So I want to thank each and every one of you guys for joining me live today, for contributing to the conversation. If this has been of value, please, I really love it when you guys do share these messages so that we can get into the minds and hearts of other amazing human beings and expand our community. And also, share it with somebody that you want to have a good relationship with, right? So it's not just you telling them, but hearing a different perspective that could really trigger a great conversation and opener for you guys. So that's it from me. As usual, my reminder to each and every one of you is to go out there and live authentically, love deeply, and contribute meaningfully and purposefully. And so much love for each and every one of you guys, and I will see you soon. Much love.